What's going on, champs and champets? It's FireMonkey here, and today's YouTube video is a half leak, half yap video, so if you only want to hear the leak part, feel free to watch like the first 30 seconds, and then click off to another video. But what are we talking about here? Well, we have to talk about the strange things Epic Games does, where they'll randomly add new cosmetics to an older collaboration, bring that collaboration back, and then half the time, the new cosmetics they added to the files, they don't even really end up using. Now, you guys may or may not know, but the Daft Punk cosmetics are either back in the item shop right now, or are going to be returning tonight. I'm not sure which one, I just know they're returning soon. And with the most recent Fortnite update that added stuff like this whole leveling collaboration, etc., we ended up getting this new spray you can see on screen right now, being the Daft Punk hand spray. Now, this is added on to the list of Daft Punk cosmetics that just have not released in the game, or at least that we're unaware of how to actually get them if there is an official release way as of right now. And I think it's a little weird to see how they'll randomly keep adding more cosmetics over time for a collaboration, but never end up using them. I mean, even if we look at the 7 foundation, or I guess the 7 quest in Battle Royale right now, the next phase of them is going to be giving you a free loading screen, and it's a loading screen from Season 19, which, you know, that happened a long time ago. That was back in like Chapter 2, maybe very early Chapter 3 that we had Season 19. I think it was like the Vibin season or whatever that we ended up getting that, and they're just now releasing it in Chapter 7. And of course, that's, you know, not a collaboration type of thing. That's more of a Fortnite standalone item, but then again, we see this happen time and time again when it comes to creators and, you know, different collaborations that are from artists in the game. Now, this isn't the only unreleased Daft Punk collaboration item, because we even have stuff like, I think there's a banner that's unreleased. There could be a little bit more, but I do know there's at least like 1 or 2 items from the Daft Punk collaboration when it originally released that never ended up making its way into the game, and it makes me wonder what is kind of going on. Why do these things exist? You know, it would be such a cool thing to add as like a little bit of an added bonus to like a locker bundle, or not locker bundle, but like, you know, add it as a little bit of bonus to the item shop bundle in general or whatever else. But instead, it seems like they're more focused on just this aspect of, oh no, you know, we had these items, they were developed at some point in time, so we'll just kind of add them to the files and then never release them. After looking in the files as well, it appears that we had an unreleased emoticon, an unreleased banner. We actually ended up having an 2 unreleased loading screens in part of the Daft Punk collaboration, and now we're adding a spray to that list of unreleased stuff. Then we had the Mafiathon 3 spray that never ended up releasing, an Easy Life spray that never ended up releasing. If I scroll down here a little bit more, we had a Squid Games reload map loading screen that never ended up releasing. Scroll down a little bit more, you know, we had 2 sprays for the Star Wars mini season as well as a Star Wars mini season emoticon. If we keep going down here, there's gonna be more. I know there was like a Naruto collaboration that had some scrap parts as well. There's a whole entire decal for the Incredible, or the Incredible, you know, the Incredibles like vehicle or whatever else, which was the classic version of the super suit, which never ended up releasing, or it might have got reskinned as another name. There's just so many things in here, and as I scroll down, there's just more and more and more and more stuff that you're like, dang, that's existed before, but it just never came out. And it makes me want, yeah, we had a Naruto banner that was supposed to release, but never ended up releasing as well. And sometimes these collaborations, you know, get brought back and everything, but those older items that some of the people who were a fan of that franchise wanted never ended up being able to obtain it because of the fact that it was never given out. And then there's certain cases like with the Naruto collaboration where content creators who got the cosmetics granted to their locker early actually got certain things like the banner icon, meaning that they technically have like a rare exclusive banner that the normal person can't get because it was only ever given out to content creators. And it makes me wonder what is kind of going on in these situations that causes stuff like a Daft Punk banner or spray or loading screen or whatever else to go unreleased, because, you know, they put the effort into actually making this stuff. You know, it was a collaboration thing. Sure, there might be collaboration efforts, you know, being like, oh, this is what the deliverabilities are, you know, don't do this, don't release that, release this or whatever else, and I can understand that. But at the exact same time, they're finished, you know, they have 2 loading screens, they have a spray, an emoticon, a banner. You could throw that in a bundle. You could go ahead and make a, like, I know in the past they had like item bundles that were like, you know, the weapon kit or whatever, that would just be like the back bling, the pickaxe and stuff. You could make a separate bundle entirely at this point of the miniature items. You know, you can give a smaller price of like a spray or a banner or an emoticon or the 2 loading screens and make it like a you know, mega fan bundle, I guess you would say. You could do that type of stuff in order to make it so those items still get released and people end up spending money on it, and Epic Games still makes some money. You know, it probably wouldn't be that much money considering the fact that they're the the smaller cosmetics in the game, and not too many people are going to care about having or missing those. But at the same time, if you're someone who likes Daft Punk, for example, and you want to have all the Daft Punk stuff, it would allow you to get these unreleased cosmetics. But then again, I could just be yapping into the void. You know, maybe this is something that I just think's a little weird, but I think over the years, as we've started getting more and more and more collaborations in the game, it's always odd to me seeing that, you know, there's certain items that ended up fully finished in the game files that never end up releasing. And I hope, you know, maybe later down the line, or maybe after this video comes out or whatever, you know, when Daft Punk returns, for example, this spray that was just recently added ends up being like a bonus quest reward that comes out of absolutely nowhere or something like that. You know, that'd be a cool thing to actually see. But at least as I can tell right now, it doesn't appear like there's any cosmetic link to it at all. Even looking at the bundle asset image, unless they do an API update at the very last minute, there isn't any chance that it's set to be in the upcoming bundle returning in the item shop with all the Daft Punk cosmetics, so who knows what's really going on there. But I know there's situations like with the Tomb Raider collaboration where Lara Croft, and by the way, I'm talking about the Tomb Raider item, or not item shop, but the Battle Pass collaboration, but there were certain things where like the Lara Croft collaboration actually ended up having certain cosmetics cut from the game. Like I think there was a loading screen that we had the ID for, but it never ended up releasing. And in those cases, you know, it makes sense. You know, they had a loading screen, they couldn't finish it in time, so they never ended up releasing it for us to actually see or, you know, earn or anything like that. But then there's stuff like the Daft Punk collaboration where sure, you know, it might have been added late, but there's some cosmetics that are added when the collaboration first dropped that were finished. It wasn't like they were, you know, just scrapped last minute because, you know, I mean, technically they're scrapped, they never ended up releasing in the game, but it's like they were finished. You could sell it in the shop as an extra bundle, and what is going on? But you could sell it in the shop as an extra bundle and no one would bat an eye. You know, maybe some people will be like, this is weird that they're going ahead and selling, you know, a banner as its own bundle or whatever, but it was something that was available for them. It was something that was right there, and it was already in a way finishable in a way that even me would be like, yeah, that's something that you can purchase in the shop, right? You know, and I'm someone who's against things like, you know, purchasing, you know, V-Bucks or, I mean, okay, that's a weird way to say it, but, you know, I'm against some things like, you know, sidekicks and a lot of the pricing that Epic Games has done recently, but at the same time, it's a smaller thing. Assuming that they're not charging you like 500 V-Bucks for a banner icon, it wouldn't be that bad of a thing to just throw out there. But let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Let me know what you think about the whole entire Daft Punk situation with unreleased banners, sprays, emoticons, and more unreleased stuff being added down the line. Do you think that maybe since we were supposed to get that like Party Royale mixed with Festival Jam Stage playlist or whatever in the past, that maybe these rewards are going to be for that, since originally that island was going to launch with a little bit of a mixture Daft Punk collaboration? Maybe that could be the case going on here, and that's why these items never ended up getting released. But at that point, you know, might as well just like repurpose it. Go ahead and do a part 2 to the Daft Punk experience, make a Daft Punk experience encore or something, being like, hey, nothing has changed, but if you log in and you play on the experience once again, you can get even more Daft Punk goodies. I think they might have done that with the Kid Leroy experience in the past. I could be wrong. Like, I might be thinking about something else entirely, but it's a possibility, at least in my mind. Until next time, however, like the video if you liked it, dislike if you didn't like it, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow with another upload. So until then, peace out.